How are you all doing? I've got a little bit of a mission today. Not a particularly big one. I want to play through, over time, not right today, but I want to play through the catalogue of developer Remedy. Remedy made games like Max Payne, Max Payne 2. Max Payne is their character, so Max Payne 3. Alan Wake 2, Quantum Break, and Control. I love Control. I love Control because Control turns out to be one of those games that ties into Max Payne and Alan Wake. I've never played Quantum Break. I've never really played Alan Wake. But I have played Max Payne. Max Payne, though, is a difficult one for me because the whole motivation of that game is Max getting revenge. He's a detective, he's a police officer. His family gets killed, and right at the start, you basically... Max's wife and baby get killed. Ever since I've had kids, that's a bit of a... for me. I'm fine with most things, but there's a scream that we babbies do. It's very kind of... I can't explain it. But when I hear a babby make that scream, I just have to turn and cry. I have to turn and walk away. Babies cry normally. I can handle that. Just pick them up and do the thing to soothe them. With that aside... Max Payne 1 doesn't work on modern AMD processors. And I found this out a few years ago on my main PC, when I tried to play it back then, and on my laptop, my Zephyrus G14, they both run modern AMD Ryzen processors. On some of my older machines, I've got a few old Dell business machines and my old Strix gaming laptop, they run fine because they run Intel processors. I was hoping I could play on Steam Deck, but Steam Deck, much like my laptop and my main PC, is running a modern AMD processor. So when you try to launch the game, I see Max Payne has the little no icon on it. 2 and 3 are at least playable. Yeah, if you launch Max Payne, what if it actually sync up my save? I don't think it will. I'll curse you, alright, just go. Oh, I think the intro works on Proton. If you were to get this stuff running on Windows, you'd have to patch the F11 soldery out of it. But it should... Is it here or when you start the game? I don't remember. Should kick up a JPEG error. Don't worry, I was just having a bit of a think. Doesn't look like it's got my save on it. I'm going to be sad. Let me have a load. Load. That one. Nope. Nope. Can I click it? No! Your saves are gone, sir. Bastards. Okay. Come on. Oh, no. There we go. Where's the... Doesn't matter. There you go, JPEG error. I'm gonna fix that. I should just sorted out the DLL that has the issue. You can see it. Is that doobie there, the one that's highlighted? It's rlmfc.dll. You can choose to patch it yourself. Hex editor. Or there's a Reddit thread, Max Payne, and then that DLL name, and you should find there's an entire thread about why this happens. A user has also kindly patched the DLL if you want to pull it down in that thread. So they also provide an MD5 checksum that you can use to check to make sure it's a legit version of the file, the one that they've put up. That way it hasn't been tampered with. And then it's there. Launch Max Payne.
Collecting evidence had gotten old, a few hundred bullets back. I was already so far past the point of no return, I couldn't even remember what it looked like when I had passed it. A dead man tied to a chair lay on the boiler room floor.
Captain Baseball Bat Boy has an unbeatable track record in superhero death matches. But a six-pack of root beer gets me every time.
The murder weapon was a baseball bat, now lying in a pool of drying blood next to a newspaper folded open on a Captain Baseball Bat Boy comic strip.
I will never, ever, ever forget Captain Baseball Bat Boy. Well, it's working. That's working. And, I have let time get away from me really badly. I've noticed actually, I've been dicking around with games that say they don't run on the Steam Deck today. Oh, note. That's the monitor I was talking about the other day. My wifey got me a little A4 easel. It works way better than the stand that came with the damn thing that I lost. Actually holds it in place. Great. But thank you. I love this, by the way. I love it. Folds that, takes up like less space in my bag than the original too. So Street Fighter works fine. A few frame drops, so not ideal, but if you run it in docked mode, it will crash when you do the Ryu waterfall tutorial bit at the start. Play it in handheld, fine. Spec Ops: The Line, that's an interesting one because it has a Linux version. It's got a Linux binary, but the Linux binary doesn't recognize control pads, so it just kind of dies when you get to the menu. Also doesn't kind of res up properly. It's like running at like, I don't know, 480p or something daft like that. But if you force it to run under Proton and compatibility, so you run the Windows version, works fine. And Max Payne, well, I've shown that that one works. That was kind of the point of this video, really. And I realised that I didn't actually explain what was going on earlier. I just jumped from, we're going to fix that, to, here's a random DLL. How completely disjointed. So, I've already kind of said about the whole problem with Max Payne. It is above my pay grade. I have mentioned where you can read up about it, but it's funny because I was explaining hex editors and hexadecimal to a friend today, and that just happened to be one of the things that needed to be done too to get Max Payne running. It's a processor check of some form. The result that it gets when it checks the processor and you're running Ryzen, it gets something it doesn't expect and just goes, nope, not doing that. And it's, I think, like 3 bytes of data. 3 little changes in hexadecimal that you have to make with a hex editor to that DLL file, and Max Payne works. Without it, you get the JPEG. It's MMX related, I believe. If anyone remembers the old school days of like Pentium 1 with MMX. That. Not entirely sure why Ryzen kicks up an error. As I said, I haven't read the article on Reddit, to be honest with you. I will just take the smart people's word for it and just hex it up and get the game running. But yeah, it just seems to be a processor check. So anyone on Intel doesn't have this issue. It just runs, but on AMD, not so much. I think it's unfortunate, really, that a patch hasn't been made already by Remedy, but I suppose licensing would dictate no, because Max Payne is now Rockstar, or whoever now owns the license. I think Rockstar they still own the Max Payne license. They bought it for Max Payne 2, and Remedy made Max Payne 2, and then I think Rockstar did Max Payne 3, and then Remedy went on to do Alan Wake, and Alan Wake 2, or I can't remember what it was, like American Nightmare or something like that. And then, as I said, Quantum Break and Control. And Control is actually one of the games that made me want to get the Steam Deck, because they advertised the Steam Deck would run Control. And Control has been one of my favourite games over the last couple of years, just because, man, you use high-speed concrete as a weapon. You launch pieces of rubble and whatever at enemies so fucking hard they disintegrate on impact. It's beautiful. If you've never played Control, it's fantastic. I was like, there's no way the Steam Deck will run Control. No fucking way it will run Control. But then the PlayStation only runs Control at like, what, is it 30? It might be 60. It's running it on low graphics on PC. I've played it on PC with the Super Pretty Breeze. So realistically, if it plays on the PlayStation 4, it's going to play on the Steam Deck. But, fucking the high-speed concrete game in a portable. Just, so good. I hear as well they might actually be remastering Max Payne 1. I think they gave the same treatment to Alan Wake 1 recently, but that's an Epic Store exclusive, which pisses me off. Not that it matters, because, as I say, Alan Wake, I'm sure Alan Wake is under the verified games for deck, Alan Wake and Control, which is another reason why I kind of was like, you know what, I want to play Max Payne again. And let's just get the whole Remedy collection set up on Steam Deck on one device. Yeah, Alan Wake, Steam Deck verified. So that, Alan Wake and Control. I think Quantum Break, they say, works, but you need to adjust the resolution, or you need to tweak settings in the game. They haven't got a profile set for it. I can't see there being much of any problems with Max Payne 2 and 3. At least Max Payne 3. I'm certain Max Payne 3 will be fine, on the grounds that Max Payne 3 had a solid console version, like Xbox and that. So there should be decent controller support. Max Payne 2, not sure. Max Payne 1, I know it had a console release. The Steam, like running it on Steam though, the PC version doesn't have controller support. So I'm using, in my case, I'm using WAS and D assigned to the PlayStation 4 pad, PlayStation 5 pad. I like using PlayStation pads on Linux stuff because you can use the touchpad as a mouse, but usually I'd use an Xbox pad, but I've got my gun switch into these, so I've got 4 guns assigned to the D-pad. Left and right, like mouse movement is on the right stick. I've also got gyro enabled so I can make micro adjustments, although that's not proving to be particularly useful. Jump, reload, use item, painkillers, triangle I haven't got any assigned to. Save scumming is on the bumper buttons, save and load, bullet time and shoot on R2. So I haven't actually got the full set done, but it's been perfectly playable. I'm now up to Ragnarok, which is, I think that's about halfway through the game. I don't remember much past Ragnarok. There's a boss fight in there in a room, like in a theatre room where there's like people coming up from the top and stuff. And then all of a sudden I think all your weapons get taken away from you. And you have to basically bosh the shit out of people with a baseball bat. You have to do a bit of a Captain Baseball Bat Boy on people. But it's playable. It's fucking really, it's been really, really, really fun. I just got lost in the game remembering how much I love... I never, like when I was younger, I didn't like Max Payne. One of my friends really ruined it for me, but as I got older, I really started to appreciate Remedy's work. Remedy did Death Rally as well, I think. The Duke Nukem racing game. Way back in the day, that was fucking well fun. But they make really, really, really good games. And they're usually really, really well written. The world is nicely sculpted. They're subtle in their storytelling. And I really, really like that. And I just love the fact that Sam Lake is Max Payne. The writer of the game is Max Payne. I loved the comic style back in the day, what they used for the transitions. A bunch of my friends actually did a webcomic like that back in the day because we didn't want to draw anything. Like my mate Chalky was like, oh yeah, I'll draw a bunch of stuff. And I was like, dude, let's just take photographs and just frame them. Like just we'll filter them and we'll do the comic that way kind of thing. We'll do the web comic that way. We'll just like take some generic frames from around town or whatever and do it that way. So Max Payne is I didn't even make that click. I didn't click like that with Max Payne until much later. I was like, oh yeah, I remember doing stuff like that. And it was just things like that kind of the charm of Max Payne that really got my groove on. And plus I've been listening to a lot of the Max Payne 3 soundtrack, a band called Health did the Max Payne 3 soundtrack, and some of the tracks in that are fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Lyrically, given the character and the backstory, fantastic, won't spoil them. And there's one where Max's baby girl crying is kind of sampled and hidden in the background. Hidden in the background isn't really there. It's very much there, but like you'd be wondering why it's there if you, one, hadn't played the game, two, hadn't played Max Payne 1. They actually take the sound from Max Payne 1. It's just like, oh god. Like it's there and it's haunting me. It's really neat. And I'm just glad now to have, so I'm going to install them all on the Steam Deck. I'll have Max Payne 1, 2, 3, Alan Wake, Quantum Break, and controlling that on there. They're a fantastic little company. I hope a lot of their games do get remastered treatments. I hope they do get put on stuff like the Steam Deck. I hope they're not just like, oh, it's a PlayStation exclusive, or oh, hey, it's a whatever exclusive. No, bring it out on PC, multi-plat it, put it on the Steam Deck, and just, yeah. Oh, and I like, one other thing I like about Remedy stuff is that when they seem to have like people they like working with, like James McCaffrey and that, I like that they continue to use the same voice actors, the same actors throughout their games. So the voice of Max Payne is in Control. The voice of Alan Wake is in Control. The main character of Control, Jessie Faden, her voice actress is also from Quantum Break. I fucking love stuff like that. They've just melded everything together and it just works so well. I like it when devs and that form a relationship with their cast, you know, other people who they work with, not just the coders, not just the graphics designers, but the people actually bringing the characters to life. It was really rad. But a really jank explanation of the bug. As I say, it is completely above my pay grade, but the patch itself is super simple to do. Or if not, just download the DLL. And Max Payne works. Could it be patched in? Could they do something in Proton perhaps for it? I don't know. If they could, that'd be great. So that you don't have to patch it at all. Because Max Payne, one of them games, I use it as an example all the time. When you're on Linux, you don't really have to do anything aside from that processor patch to get the game to work. On Windows, you've got to do widescreen fixes, sound and video fixes. All sorts of patches have to be applied to Max Payne 1. Just install it on Steam Deck and apply that DLL. Until maybe they patch, until they sort out Proton and that'll do it without the patch. But I have no idea what I'm talking about because I'm really fucking tired and I want to get back to shooting people in the dank streets of New York. So, hope you're well. And I'll see you all with a bit of luck in the next one. It's the most fun I've had playing games in a wee while and I didn't even stream it. And it works surprisingly well on a pad, other than I don't know how the fuck I'm going to operate the sniper rifle, because I'm pretty sure there's a sniper rifle section. There is a sniper rifle tutorial part, or section in the tutorial. Fucked if I could do it, because I didn't know what the buttons were.